This conference will now be recorded.
Give me a moment. Okay. Yeah. So by the way, we should have an account to ourselves when we try to learn, when we have started to learn this particular course actually. Because when we try to do some hands-on, we'll be able to understand better. That is the intent of saying this. Yeah. What I'm talking about is that I'm talking about the benefits of using both cloud computing models. Okay, either it might be AWS, Microsoft Azure, or it can be GCP, right? Any of these services, service providers, basically they are offering pay as you go model. Anyone have an idea what is pay as you go model?
So you basically pay for the services you use rather than you pay for the like um, like in the sense exchange online and the exchange in-house. Like if you are paying for an exchange 2016 server and all the
Mhm.
licenses which come with it. So
Okay,
I think that's the example, as in like you use Office online or Office 365, which comes with everything in it. So you don't have to manage the in-house servers and all that. So all the infrastructure is taken out uh, from the
right,
scene. So you're just paying for what you're using, and obviously you will have low maintenance on the people who are managing it and all that.
right. So in Microsoft 11, Microsoft have come up with a package of Microsoft X365, wherein all the Microsoft operating system itself is basically a service that they are offering. So that's a new advantage that is there in Microsoft 11. And along with that, anything that you want, they're offering as a service. So there is no need for you to install and all this stuff. Just launch into the aspect to operating systems, and then that the things are ready for you. And couple of things in the background. So they're offering a service. So any service that they want, they're offering. So in that context, I'm saying that cloud offers you an infrastructure as service, platform as service, software as service. And now Microsoft is providing anything that you want. We are providing that as a service to you. Anything that is asked, right? So infrastructure is basically a service where we have the physical hardware, and whether do you want to share any instance of a physical hardware, or do you want to have a dedicated hardware, right? So what kind of infrastructure do you want to build? So that comes as a part of infrastructure as service. And now, okay, and then we have something called platform as service. Platform as service is basically where developers are predominantly used, developers. And now that we hear the name called container, container is basically a platform where we have something called as a Docker daemon. I mean to say that Docker is basically a containerized service. Okay, it is a platform. It doesn't have anything. It's a bare metal platform where it's a bare metal platform where, based upon the script that you write, okay, it converts that into a respective image and the respective application that you want to require. Okay, it's basically an empty platform. So basically, a service called Docker daemon will be helping us to create the respective infrastructure that we want. Okay, basically it is created by the developers. Software as service, yes, the Gmail service or an Outlook, right? So Outlook is given by Microsoft Azure, so you can just straight away install that software as service on your infrastructures, right? So there is no need for you to configure what is required for Outlook and all. So all your maintenance work, one advantage of having cloud is that all your maintenance work will be offloaded by Amazon Web Services or Azure or GCP. Okay. Anything that you want, as I mentioned, right? Anything that you want will be provided by the respective cloud service providers. And couple of advantages or a couple of things that need to be taken care, which is called as high availability disaster recovery, which is DR. Any idea on what do you what do you mean by high availability? What do you think of high availability? Which is one of the prime reasons that we are going to cloud. Even though that is a possible scenario in our on-premises, but still we are going with high availability. I don't say it is possible with on-premises because we should have multiple locations and regions. Any thoughts on high availabilities?
So basically it says that your downtime will be minimized. They're saying to 99% or like 98%, but yeah, they're close to that.
Yes. So whatever Satish is mentioning, it is about SLA. So this is provided by the respective cloud service provider. After 99, how many nines are available? That talks about the availability of a given service at the respective cloud, right? So we should be very cautious when we are trying to give 99.99 or 999 or 4 nines, because based on that we calculate the SLA, which means that how much time a given service is available to the respective users, to the respective customers. And we see that out of 365 days, okay, we will have a downtime of 7 hours. So we have necessarily agreement shared by all the cloud service providers, right? I'm just giving an example of one of the scenarios where we have 7 hours as a downtime for a complete 365 days, right? So we should be very cautious in how we are defining our service level agreements. That is, we call it SLA. SLA will be defined for each and every service that we have at AWS, Azure, and GCP. Okay. So yes, so that comes about the high availability, which means that your system or the service that you launch or the storage you create, database you create, the Azure infrastructure with DevOps you create, or any monitoring service we create, or any containerized application we create, or any software application we create, whatever scenario it might be, we should have that particular application, service, or database available with respect to SLA that we have agreed with the customer from the cloud service provider, right? So for that, what Azure or AWS or GCP is doing, they have something called a region. Every region out this globe, they have segregated into regions. So in these regions, they have something called availability zones. Every region is segregated into availability zones. Okay. So availability zone is a physical location where it's a physical location where your physical hardware or a physical database that is created by either Amazon or Microsoft or GCP. So we call this as availability zones. So if you ask me, in terms of Microsoft Azure, we should have a minimum of 3 availability zones with respect to a given region. One region should have minimum 3 availability zones. Okay. So in AWS, once you create any region, so when you create some service, I mean, we'll be discussing those services later point. Any service that you want to create, it will be asking, where do you want to create this particular infrastructure in this region? If you say North Virginia or South Virginia, so where do you want to create? So once you open any infrastructure, yes, you will be able to view the physical, the logical regions of that is inbounded, that is attached to a given availability zones, right? In US East North Virginia, you have a physical location called US East 1, and East Ohio, we have East 2, and US West North California, we have US West 1. So they have defined an availability zone with a naming convention that represents a given physical region. Okay. So similarly, okay, when you try to create any infrastructure at Microsoft Azure also, it will be asking you, where do you want to create? Okay, where do you want, which region do you want to create? Okay, okay, I'll come to this later why. Okay. And one more topic is there. And now comes the roles. Let me complete this. We have a concept called disaster recovery. Okay, so which is very important in terms of cloud. So when you try to create any infrastructures, okay, so what is the resilient? What is do you know what do you mean by resiliency? Anybody?
It's
Any idea
basically
what do you mean by?
redundancy. So when
Okay.
one of the servers is down, like to have the ability to switch over to another,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
or like I mean the redundancy or the time it takes to recover the disaster, like in the sense like if a server is down, how fast can you rebuild it? Is it something like
Gotcha.
that?
Yeah, yeah. So basically it talks about two legs, which means that a primary channel, yeah, whatever you mentioned is absolutely right, Satish. This comes as a roles and responsibilities of an architect who is working in cloud. Okay, so if you want to be a cloud architect, yes, so this is one of your primary goals. So you build an infrastructure for your client, a banking client or an e-commerce, whoever it might be. Okay, you try to create an infrastructure for them. So for that, we should build an architecture which is resilient. Okay, which means that when you try to create something in a primary channel, that is in US East, okay, US East, okay, you have to create a backup service in some other region. It's better that to create a some other region, or within the same region you have another availability zone. Okay, there as well you can create. Okay, so the reason of creating this particular resilient mode is that when something fails in the primary leg, obviously secondary leg within the same availability region, within the same region we can create, or we can have other region. Okay, if you think that particular region is bounded to some kind of natural calamities, we can go with some other region as a backup and create the infrastructure, and we can tell client, yes, this region that we choose is basically have or is bounded to some kind of natural calamities based upon the past history. Okay, so because of which we have not gone to create a backup within the same region. So we have instead we have chosen some other region, so we can convince client based upon the requirements. Okay, so any questions so far or any thought process you have, uh, Govind, Sagar, Veera, and Venkat? What do you think of cloud computing one? Any inputs that you want to share, or any questions from your side? Okay, okay. Now I'm moving into the important concept called security. Okay, so now that we know that GCP, Azure, or AWS will provide customers a platform to create a service which comes under multiple sectors. The sectors comprises of compute, containers, storage, database, migration, networking, developer tools, and a lot more. What you see on my screen, a lot more, right? And same thing goes with Azure. Okay, virtual machines, apps, storages, SQL databases, Cosmos DB, right? Resource groups, and same will go with GCP also. Yeah. So these are these are some of the UI or the portals for the respective cloud models we have. Okay, predominantly we cannot say that some project will use AWS or GCP or Azure. What I'm trying to say is that so each project will be using the respective or the individual cloud services based upon the client requirement as well as their previous interactions with the respective cloud models and the client that they are working for and the programming of the software logics or the programming that they are using. For example, I've just give a scenario here because how do we choose the cloud? So for example, I have a client where I've been working for .NET platform for last five and a half years. Okay, so now I can tell my client that it's better that we migrate our platform or the softwares or the programming that we write into Microsoft Azure because .NET is basically from Microsoft. So it's basically very easy for me to migrate from the on-premises to the respective .NET platform that is Microsoft Azure. Okay, so we need to see how we can migrate. So with less maintenance effort, how we are trying to migrate from the cloud, the existing on-premises to the cloud. So migration is one concept where we will be migrating from the on-premises to AWS cloud. So we need to see which is the best possible or a suitable cloud service provider that is helping us to do the maintenance or the migration activity with less efforts. So I'm trying to cover the point of the migration. Okay, because nowadays people are in a job perspective, people are looking for the migration services exposure and experience because clients now are trying to move from the legacy system to the cloud, right? By seeing all the advantages, all the other offerings that cloud does, and with that in mind, and to reduce their cost and to have more productivity, so clients are nowadays migrating. So with that, okay, with that, they're trying to do some kind of migrations from the on-premises to cloud. Okay, so we have services that is helping us to do the migrations. And now, after we migrate, the main important concept is security. Security is very important. As I'm talking, security is the most important aspect in the cloud, which has to be taken care both by the cloud service provider as well as the cloud and as well as the client who is trying to use the respective cloud service model. Because cloud is basically providing you a platform to host their data. Okay, and the data is basically from the client. So obviously we should be more cautious when you try to put our data into the cloud. Okay, so when you try to appear for a cloud practitioner examination, okay, so in that context they will be asking questions on shared responsibility. Okay, so now I'll be going through the certifications that are available for us at a high level. Okay, so ideally we have a practitioner certificate or a fundamental certificate, and then we have architect certificate, and then we have a DevOps certificate, And then we have a security admin certificates, right? And then we have something on AI and ML, a specialist certificates. Okay, so if you see here, just a moment, I can show you that. Yeah, before going to certificate, let me tell you what syllabus I'll be covering with. I think syllabus is already shared to you, so I will just go at a glimpse. Any questions so far before I start with the services and in details of the certifications? Govind, any
Yeah, Sriram.
questions? Yeah, Satish,
Sorry,
yeah.
Satish here. I just wanted to know when you're talking about these concepts, right? So when you go, because the course is designed in a way you are covering Azure, AWS, and GCP. So I just wanted to know how, like, I mean, is that like a basic concept you want to cover in every arena, like, I mean, in all the three cloud computing platforms, or is this something like is designed with labs where you do things and all that, like in a real time? So I'm talking in the perspective of a um, of an cloud administrator. So when you're working as a cloud administrator, so will the labs include, I mean, I know it can't be like in real
Mm,
time, but at
yes, yes.
least, like, if somebody who does this course, will they be confident enough to be, or like, I mean, will they have some knowledge after doing this course or the labs in this course? Will they be able to confidently do their work wise, because, like, I mean, who are already working in the industry, how much this course will help them?
Right. So yeah, from my side, with respect to the services, the first question, I'll be covering all the fundamentals that are required in each and every cloud arena. Okay. First of all, if you ask about AWS, I'll be covering the services that talks about the fundament in terms of cloud, containers, storage, database, management, and a couple of integration tools and security. So these are some of the fundamentals that are required for you to get started, to have an overview in terms of AWS. Similarly, the same thing goes with Microsoft Azure as well. I'll be covering services on compute, networking, storage, containers, security, identity and DevOps, and monitors. And in terms of GCP also, the same logic I'll be going with. The compute side, a Kubernetes engine, a cluster that is being managed on top of a container. And then I spoke about a serverless word in the first at the first instance of this session, right? So what is serverless? Basically, Azure Functions is a serverless, right? Lambda is a serverless. Cloud Function is a serverless, right? I'll be relating to the same topic in all the three cloud domains, and the name will be different and the logic or the functionality that it does at the end of that particular logic is the same, right? The way it is represented, the way it is exposed as an API perspective or the UI perspective from a portal wise, okay, it is quite different, but the end result that is attained from these services are same. And then I will go through with the storage, as I mentioned, in a couple of services in database and integrations, and DevOps. Here it comes with DevOps, okay, and identity management systems, not on big data, identity management systems. Yeah, these are the services that I individually cover in all these particular cloud service models. And by the end of this course, before that, the lab facility means uh, I don't provide any explicit lab provisions to you, but I can guide you where we have the lab provision. For example, if you log in with Microsoft Azure, I'll go with Microsoft Azure. Okay, we have the curriculum that is designed with the respective certifications. Okay, for example, I'm giving an example. Okay, so here, if you want to complete this particular course, for example, if you want to be a certified as a fundamentals of Microsoft 900, okay, then there is a course curriculum here. So which covers some of the core services which we are also trying to cover from our end. Okay, so here they'll be providing you a lab facility on the topics that you have covered. It is basically a sandbox that they are initiating for the respective user who is trying to learn this particular service. Okay, from my perspective, what I'm saying is that when you try to create any free service, and whatever we discuss in a session, and if you try to put your own effort and create a service in the respective cloud platforms, and if you have got any doubt or if you are stuck in between anything, then yes, definitely we can work and then we can discuss on top of that. Okay, so what I'm saying is that you have to create a free tier account and you have to start creating a service that we have discussed on the respective session. Okay, and if there is any issues, yes, we can discuss in the next class on one-to-one. That is also possible. Okay, because I am not providing any sandbox facility to any of the sessions that I take, because everything is provided by Microsoft or AWS or GCP. So we can just leverage those services or those sandboxes and we can create our infrastructure. And along with that, we have a free tier access. When you try to create any service at the first instance, okay, we have a free tier account that is provided by the respective cloud provider. So we can obviously go ahead and use their free credit and we can create the respective cloud service that we want. Okay, does this answer your question, Satish, or anything else that
No,
uh,
that's fine. That I think that covers that. But just one more question on this. So
mm, mm,
when you're trying to explain these services and all that, so
yeah,
will you cover uh, the basic understanding of what these services are, or will you basically show us how you configure this service by showing it with your account or something?
right. So as I mentioned, I'll be covering the fundamentals like cloud, like compute, storage, IAMs. Okay, and I'll be covering those hands-on as well. I'll be telling you what that particular service talks about, and there might be a number of ways I can interact with cloud, right? So I'll be creating a service, for example, an EC2 service or a virtual machine, right? And how do I provision to customers? So I'll be interacting or I'll be integrating that with some kind of IAMs, okay? And EC2 plus IAM, how do we handle that? It is a simple scenario, okay? So I'll be covering the topics and along with that, some simple scenarios that can be created around that particular model.
Yeah, okay. That's fine, Sriram. Thank you.
Okay. Any questions, Govind?
Yeah, I'm trying
Sagar?
to understand. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, regarding certifications, so do we need to pay anything to Microsoft or Amazon? If they, AWS or
Yes. I think Sagar is speaking, right? Or
yeah.
yes, Sagar. Actually, we have to pay for the certificates. If you see, if it is for yeah, as an example, what I'm seeing is that yeah. So if you are a student, okay, if you are a student, you have to pay for the certificates of what do you say? It is for USD $15 for a
Okay.
student, or okay. And if you are not a student, you have to pay 3,696 plus GST. It costs around 4,000
Okay.
alone to pass or to get certified in this Microsoft Azure Fundamental.
How many times
So
you can
holistically, sorry.
how many times you can attend this one? Because sometimes everyone can't get the certification for a single instance, right? So how many times you can attend this one?
There is no, what do you say, uh,
No limitation.
endpoint, no
Oh,
limitation. But to reappear, I think we need to wait for 1 week. I think we need to wait for 14 days.
okay.
Okay, but there is no limit actually. Just
Oh,
grace time we need to wait, and then we can reappear for the examination. Same
okay.
thing goes with AWS and GCP. Maybe you need to
Oh,
wait if we fail for the first time, maybe 1 or 2 weeks, and then we can reappear for the examination again.
okay.
And there is some fee incurred. There are some changes between AWS, GCP, and Azure. Okay, so the fee structure will vary. And
Sriram, would you be able to help us to get this certification in terms of material, or nowadays a lot of dumps will be available from from different technologies, right? Would you be able to collect them and help us?
yes, definitely. Because I'm also preparing for some of certifications, I have few links where we have the DUMS and YouTube links where they are saying that this particular sessions has helped them to attain the certifications. Right. So I'm
In terms
maintaining.
of
Sorry. Yeah. Go.
in terms of Azure, how many certifications are there in Azure? Like AZ
Uh,
900.
right. There are so many certifications actually.
Okay.
So based upon the role, so we have so many like AI. So similarly, AI we can have administrator. Administrator is same between AWS, GCP, and Microsoft Azure.
Okay.
And then we have an AI. It is a specific certificate, and data analysts and DevOps and developers. And the functional consultant, it is specific to Microsoft Azure. It is not there in AWS or GCP because they have this Microsoft DAX or 365, right? So many other tools are there. So they are specific to Microsoft.
So, what is the timeline you're looking at? I mean, say for completing these three technologies as we discussed as fundamentals. So, how many days you looking at? What is the course methodology?
Yeah. First, I'll be starting with AWS, then GCP, and then Microsoft Azure. So
Okay.
this is what I kept as the priority. So the overall, I see that it can be covered around the 2.5 months to 3 months.
So all
Because,
three technologies can be taught at 3 months.
3 months, because we are not going to to cover all the syllabus that is available in AWS. We are just concentrating on few of the topics, right?
Okay.
The basic fundamental that is required, because if you see EC2 is a fundamental topic where it is helping us to create an infrastructure. And if you try to create a platform internally creates an EC2 for us and an elastic block storage for us.
Okay.
Right? And if you create a software internally should have a platform internally should have an infrastructure, right? So we'll get trying to create.
So I mean, what you mean to say is like, basically.
Correct.
Sorry to interrupt you. Basically, you will be covering all the fundamentals. Is there any online material available for each and every topic? Because if you want to get ready for the certifications, you should be perfect in all the topics, right? So
correct.
Yeah, would you be able to help us, even if you're not covering all the topics, would you be able to help us with the material where we can do self-study, and our aim is at the end of the day we should be master in the subject. So of course I know in 3 months time you can't be a master. So trying to get as much as we can. So would you be able to help us with the online material where we can do self study and try to understand the topics?
Yes. For your question, the answer is yes, because the respective cloud service provider will have their own documentation. For example, if you want to study on AWS have their own documentation of the respective service that they are holding on.
Okay.
So it's better that we just understand the documentation. I will give you the individual link for each and every product or a service. Okay. So that is one point. And if you go specifically to Microsoft Azure, as I mentioned, right, they have the course curriculum. For example, if I want to be a DevOps engineer. Okay. Yeah, you see here, AZ 400. Right. So they have the course curriculum.
Okay.
So now they have renamed it. So I'll move. So everything they have provided here, we just need to go through those videos. See here. So if it is a developer on the DevOps side, yes, we need to go and understand what are these services in detail. Because in the examination, they'll be asking only these questions. Okay.
No, I mean, you've been insisting on examination, but I'm trying to gain the knowledge. Certification probably once you become very knowledgeable, we can appear for the certification. We are here to get the knowledge, right? So that's if you can insist on knowledge, teaching us as many topics as you can, that will really help.
Yeah, definitely. Knowledge wise, yes, I'll give you my best. And if I don't know some of the services, if I don't know, I'll just understand better and I'll convey you guys in a better fashion. Because
what time? Right? What is the timings you are looking at? I mean, mornings or evenings?
I prefer morning only, 7 o'clock morning. Or 6:30 or 7 a.m. morning.
Okay, this will be go for 1 hour, is it?
Yes.
So if you take 1 hour class in the morning every day, the 3 topics will be covered in 2.5 to 3 months time. That's what you said.
Correct. Yeah.
Or if all the people want to fast track it, can you do that?
Fast track means we have to understand, and only we can fast track it. It is not. Fast track, there is no concept of. I don't see a concept of fast track, because we have to understand, and then only we will be able to do our best in the industry, in the office or outside the office.
Okay. Yeah.
Any
Are you
questions,
able,
Sagar
Great.
or Venkat?
are you able to cover any live scenarios?
Yes, after every service, I'll be doing some kind of hands-on with that respective service. Okay, it is not at the end of the project. After every service is done, I'll be covering an hands-on or a combination of those services with respect to the other services, how it works, and what is the real-time scenario. A small real-time scenario will be taken, and then it will be demoed. It is not at the last piece. After completing of each and every module, how it is working, how do we interact with. Any questions, Sagar or Venkat?
What is the fee structure for these three cloud services?
That I think we
Sir,
have to interact with
Sir, hello.
Hemant.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah. Sir, fees details we will discuss after demo, right?
Okay, fine.
Yeah, you can get in contact with Hemant. Okay, he is the right person, or Nikita or anybody.
Yes, sir.
So, Sriramji, we will not be covering, any Salesforce related topics, right? Salesforce will be separate course, isn't it?
Salesforce is a
In
separate
cloud.
course because Salesforce cloud itself is separate. It is not.
Okay.
I mean, I mean, I'm not saying it is a. Anyway, it is a separate cloud space, as you are aware of.
Okay.
We are not covering that Salesforce cloud explicitly in this particular curriculum. That has to be dealt separately because all these three are in conjunction services, right?
Okay.
At least we will have some glimpses. Yeah, okay, Azure is saying like this, AWS is saying like this, GCP is having this kind of view in building the services. But Salesforce is quite different. It's also a cloud
Okay.
service, but maybe that has to be taken in a separate session after we complete these particular sessions.
Okay. Okay. Even for Salesforce, one of my a couple of my family members are working in Salesforce. They're doing really well. So that's what I'm trying to understand. Like, what is the major difference between AWS or Azure or Google platform? Major difference between these platforms and Sales Cloud?
I'm not sure exactly because I've not worked predominantly on Salesforce cloud because we have used some services that are built on Salesforce cloud.
Okay.
But why people are migrating to Salesforce, there might be a couple of reasons because some of the applications that they try to create are hosted predominantly on Salesforce, and Salesforce is most dynamic in nature and most secured applications, most secured way of creating, because some of our applications are hosted on Salesforce and created on Salesforce.
So you mean to say, like, compared to Azure or AWS or cloud, Google, Salesforce is more secure. That's what the conclusion is, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay. Mhm. Okay. Great.
And moreover, if you are opting for all the CRM kind of tools, because SAP, with lots and lots of tools are there in terms of CRM,
Okay.
right? So if you have those kind of CRM and perspective tools, then Salesforce is the best suited option.
Okay.
So it depends upon the scenario. CRM predominantly comes as a part of Salesforce, right? So if I am an application provider in terms of Salesforce, in terms of CRM,
Okay.
okay, I'm not from a Salesforce. My application talks about ABC, and it is a CRM tool which is used in London or somewhere else, right?
Okay.
So I want to move to cloud. So predominantly I choose for a tool where CRM is mostly given priority.
Okay.
Even though I have AWS Azure, yes, for my application, CRM is my heart and soul. So in that case, I'll be moving with Salesforce Cloud. Maybe your cousins might be working with CRM tools predominantly. Maybe you can check with them. Their clients might be working with CRMs.
All right. Okay.
So that might be the reason that they have driven towards a Salesforce Cloud.
Okay.
That might be one of the reasons.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay,
Thank
it's
you.
based upon the reason we have to see which is why they are going and what is the intent of
Okay.
that. So that's what I can tell you. Yeah.
Yeah. Great. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Sriram, sorry,
Yes,
I had
Satish.
some technical difficulties and I missed out like last 10-15 minutes. I just have a quick question. I don't know if you have covered it, somebody else have asked before. So
Okay.
like say for example with this class, like how many hours a day are you planning or how many days in a week? Yes, I've heard that you said it will take around 2.5 months for this to finish.
Yes,
So
yes.
when it comes in terms of weeks, how many like how many days in a week and how many hours in a day?
Yeah. Yeah. In a day, I can, from morning 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. because after that we will be busy with our schedules. Yeah. So 1 hour we can spare. Monday to Friday. This is what I am looking at. And if there is anything specific we want to learn, something we want to deep dive, understand, maybe we can connect a couple of hours on weekend. If there is any requirement. Otherwise, my prime focus and motto is Monday to Friday, 1 hour, 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. 2.5 months, max 3 months, if there are any holidays or something in between.
Okay.
Yeah, that is what I was talking. So
yeah, that should be fine. And if you don't mind me asking, are you working? I know you said that you're currently working in cloud industry for last 5 or 4 years. Okay.
right,
If you
right,
don't mind, may I ask you what are you working as?
yes. So at the moment, I am working as a cloud engineer, cloud QA engineer predominantly.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Cloud QA.
Okay,
Okay.
where we have the application hosted on AWS and Azure, and then
Okay.
we need to build some kind of QA automation domain using the QA tools like what do you say? This Protractor, Jasmine, right?
Okay.
And C#
Okay.
build the cloud automation framework, and then test using the REST API or a Swagger. And we have that's what I mentioned. We have multiple ways of interaction with cloud. Might be a
Yeah.
PowerShell, Bash,
Yep.
Portal, CLI, developer tools and APIs.
Okay. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Thanks,
We
Sridhar.
are in one of the streams. We are in one of the pipelines.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
From my perspective, I think I am confident that I can deliver these services individually with some kinds of hands-on after we deliver the respective service. And if I am not able to do, maybe I might come up with the next session, do some hands-on for myself before I come to you guys, and then give you better overview and understanding on the knowledge perspective. That is my confidence level in all the 3 cloud modules.